InnerQuest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Hello, welcome to InnerQuest. My name is Jay Stone, your host for today, and our guest is Martha Hayden. Welcome, Martha.
Thank you.
Martha is going to talk about space clearing and clutter clearing, as well as meditation and ISIS, and she's going to explain what ISIS is later. Martha, before the show we were talking, you said that you worked at a psychiatric hospital. Can you talk a little bit about your work you did in the psychiatric hospital?
Well, our patients were people who were psychotic, schizophrenic, borderline. So we worked with a variety of people who had real mental health problems. And so my job consisted of both direct patient care and counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And so the kinds of things I did is run therapeutic groups. We also got to do some really neat interventions like introduce breath work,
Mm-hmm.
And stress reduction and some journaling, some more innovative therapies in a very traditional psychiatric setting.
And you also were a wellness director. You want to tell our audience what you did as a wellness director?
Well, I worked for a foster care agency where levels of burnout are really high because you're working with very stressed parents and children in transition from homes where there was abuse.
Who burns out, the foster care employees?
Both the employees really taking care of, you get inputs and intakes in the middle of the night, and you've got really high caseloads and really demanding work situations. So I work primarily with the staff to help them manage their stress, to help them really bolster their own wellness, both in terms of physical wellness and their own mental health.
Mm-hmm. Now, you call your company Turning Point Consulting. Obviously, you've had some major turning points in your own life. Tell our audience a little bit about the type of work that you do and how you went from working with psychiatric patients to counseling the counselors to working with homes and businesses.
When I worked in psychiatric care, I saw levels of well-being that were really missing in a traditional delivery of care. There was a whole gamut of care of the spirit, deeper development of human capacities. So at the time I was working in psychiatry, I decided to go to massage school, and I had studied East-West consciousness in college.
Mm-hmm.
So it was about how to really deepen human experience in the ways that people could respond not just to chaotic external events, but something, a deeper way of living that involved more intelligence, more of themselves in terms of a deeper way of responding to life and its challenges and its beauty.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I started to explore meditation, space clearings, things that were a little more out of the traditional paradigm, but could bring depth to already clarity or to already clear systems of care.
Well, it's interesting you use the word depth because I'm familiar with a term called depth psychology or depth psychiatry. Can you elaborate a little bit more about what you mean by the term depth?
One of the things that I noticed in the psychiatric unit is it was primarily a mitigation of symptoms. It was how to manage
like hallucinations
Exactly.
and delusions and mood disorders like mania.
And primarily it was through meds,
Mm-hmm.
as well as, helping people develop better coping mechanisms, better insight. But the depth of really exploring one's inner world was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was where I headed, how to really explore an inner world and develop new ways of responding and functioning.
Okay. And so what do you do with your Turning Point Consulting?
Well, I work with a number of modalities, 3 primarily. One of the things is I work with people to help them with the physical space they function in, their office or their home, so that place really holds a high space of clarity for people to really move from. And then I work with people one-on-one in a meditation-based inner exploration. And that's called ISIS, Inner Space Interactive Sourcing. And there I'm working with people to really explore their inner world. The sessions are usually an hour and a half or so.
Do you find that when people change on the inside, their outer environment gets better? When they change on the outside, their inner environment?
Yeah, there's a remarkable reciprocal effect between the well-being in their physical body and their emotional state and the chaos reflected or the beauty reflected in their home. Yeah.
You know, I had a teacher once taught me, he says, if you're ever working with a patient who is depressed, have him go home and clean his house. When he comes back and clean his house, have him go clean the car. And done cleaning the car, have him go clean his office.
Yeah, because imprints get stored in a space. Who people are, their energy gets stored there. And as you move, how the environment holds them and how people are resting in their environment.
Can you give some examples where you've helped people change their home and their environment?
Whenever you do a clutter clearing consultation or a space clearing consultation, you're going in and you're really helping a person become cognizant of what's there. And so you really help them see that they've sort of become swallowed or they've become dumped by things that no longer represent them. They're inhibited. It's almost like, 1,000 years of growth of vines and sleeping beauty. As you pull that back, you help people reveal who they really are now and what's happening with them right now. And something else, a whole new period lands for them.
What do you find people most hold on to? What is the clutter you find most in the homes you go to?
It's not a specific thing, but it's more like, what would they most hold on to?
Books, clothes.
All that. It's not even so much the stuff, it's why they hold on to the stuff, why there are so many clothes, why there are so many books. It makes them feel secure about who they are. It brings memories of the past. But it keeps them from moving forward. They get buried in their stuff because their stuff represents what they've achieved and where they've been. And so they forget to peel it off to kind of figure out who they really are now and where they're going and what's important now.
Now, what are some of the tools you use for a space clearing or clutter clearing?
Well, when you do a space clearing, you're going into a home and you do a space clearing in 3 sections. First, use your hands to walk around and really energy sense a space and really give a client or a firm feedback about what's there. And then what you do is...
what kind of things do you pick up with your hand? Is this sort of like Reiki or Qigong, or Jesus' hands-on healing?
Well, you have both. You have both etheric and astral sensing with hands, where you are picking up impressions or imprints from a space, but you're also really holding a high space in your consciousness, so you have a laser-like clarity about what the salient points of what you need to really suss out. So you are using your hands as a sort of a reflector of pertinent information that'll jump out, like, oh, there's pain embedded in this painting. And so your hand will pick up imprints off the painting, but at the same time you're using high portions of your consciousness to really go, well, what's the pain about? Where does it fit? How can we move it through?
Now, do you ever sense pain from like a previous owner?
Sure. It's called, we call it previous occupants. So most people actually don't live in spaces that they own. They're living with all the predecessors who have slept in the bed or have slept in the space, or, and you do sometimes see that and you want to